Using this first chart, let's look at the 4-year Bitcoin cycle for a minute. Since 2011, Bitcoin has maintained a profitable 3-year period, followed by a 1-year loss. This has given us the repeating 4-year cycle, which was believed to be based on the Bitcoin halvings. If you look at the other major asset classes on this chart, excluding the first cycle, you will see those assets also follow this 4-year cycle, mostly. Since the year 2016, every year that the majority of those other assets were green, Bitcoin was also green. Since the year 2018, every year that the majority of those other assets were red, Bitcoin was also red. That fact held true until this year, when every single one of those other assets are green, but Bitcoin is still red. This year has ended the 4-year cycle theory for Bitcoin. The question then becomes, why has Bitcoin stopped reacting as every other asset has this year? The answer is in this second chart here. The Bitcoin to M2 global money supply correlation has broken down. The other assets have continued to follow the M2 supply, while Bitcoin has abandoned that trajectory altogether in 2025, choosing to go a completely different direction. Can there be any other answer as to why, besides market manipulation? Wall Street, along with most corporations and governments, got involved with Bitcoin in January 2024, with the US SEC started allowing Bitcoin ETFs to exist. From this point, the inflow of capital into Bitcoin has been insatiable. But why, with all of this injection of money into the ecosystem, would Bitcoin suddenly start moving in the opposite direction? After all, the ETFs started in January 2024, and that year was a very good year for Bitcoin's price action. Why is 2025 different? If market manipulation is the correct answer, would that not have started in 2024 and not 2025? Or was 2024 also being greatly manipulated, but the players had just started entering the game, so there were fewer of them, and the cash injection was so high at the beginning that the fewer number of players couldn't hold it back? The other option may be that Bitcoin itself has broken down, as predicted by Peter Schiff and his crew of merry men. This couldn't just be a byproduct of some other macro event, since every other major asset class is still following M2. This is a specific attack on, or breakdown of, Bitcoin itself as a major asset class. Could this be a manipulation by banks and governments, wanting to see Bitcoin fail overall? Or a manipulation by large Bitcoin players, wanting to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible before it's too late? I would assume the latter. What are your thoughts on why we have abandoned M2? Will we be picking up the M2 timeline again in the future? Especially now that QT is ending and rates are being cut. I think, like Thanos, it is inevitable.
I am inevitable.
That we return to M2 with the other assets. Manipulation cannot continue into infinity. Sooner or later, rationality has to return to the markets, and the ensuing correction will be absolutely insane.